Corrupt cops took his money, but they messed with the wrong man. He's a former Marine, and now he's out for justice. Can he take down a broken system? Let's find out. Terry Richmond, a former veteran, is cycling down the road, listening to music when he suddenly gets run over by a police car. Officers Evan Marston and Steve Lance step out and cuff him, claiming they tried to pull him over, but he fled. Terry explains that he didn't hear them because of his earphones, but the officers don't care, asking him personal details while Officer Evan searches his backpack. He finds a package and asks Terry for permission to open it. Terry refuses. Frustrated, they detain him and call in a K-9 unit to search the package. Evan warns Terry that it will take an hour for the K-9 unit to arrive, but Terry, pressed for time, gives in and allows them to open the package. Inside, they find a large amount of cash. Suspicious. The officers assume it's drug money. Terry insists it's not illegal. He explains that the money is to post bail for his cousin at the courthouse. Officer Steve counts nearly $30,000 and questions Terry about his cousin's crime. Terry explains that his cousin Mike was arrested for possession of weed, but he wasn't selling it. Of the money, $10,000 is for bail, and the rest is to buy a truck for hauling boats. The officers decide to release Terry but hold on to the money, suspecting it's drug-related. Terry protests, saying he earned it by selling his car and dining at Canlong Chinese. Evan tells Terry he can get the money back after 30 days if he completes the paperwork, warning that if he doesn't, he could face jail time for money laundering. Reluctantly, Terry agrees, and the officers let him go. Terry gets back on his bike and heads to the courthouse. There, he meets Elliot, who is a court clerk. Terry explains that the cops took all his money and he needs to post his cousin's bail. Elliot, however, refuses to help without the money and informs Terry that the jail is under renovation, meaning prisoners are being transferred to state prison. Frustrated, Terry watches as Elliot ends his shift. As Elliot leaves, he introduces Terry to Summer McBride, another court clerk and aspiring lawyer, hoping she can help. Summer and Terry grab a drink, where Summer reveals that the local police use sneaky legal loopholes to seize money from people. After legal challenges fail, the cops keep the cash for themselves, claiming it's for department funds. Terry, in response, reveals his cousin Mike is in trouble. Mike helped catch dangerous criminals by snitching, and now he's in danger of being attacked if he's transferred to state prison. Mike's transfer is set for Thursday. Summer advises Terry to gather cash quickly to cover Mike's bail and keep him safe. They part ways, and Terry immediately calls Mr. Liu, the owner of a local Chinese restaurant and his business partner. He asks Liu for 10 grand, and Liu agrees to transfer the money within hours. Terry scopes out the police department where he was detained. He files a robbery report with Officer Jessica Sims, describing the thieves as Officer Evan and Steve. Officer Steve enters mid-report, cutting Terry off and accusing him of making a false claim. Chief Sandy Burns steps in, defending his officers and ordering Terry to leave. But Terry strikes a deal, offering to drop everything if they return his bail money. Greedy, Sandy agrees. Terry asks to visit Mike before the transfer, and Sandy instructs him to come at 9 a.m. on Thursday. When Terry arrives, he learns the prisoner bus left early. Sandy pushed up the schedule intentionally. Terry races to the bus, catching it just in time to tell Mike to request protective custody when he arrives at the prison. Later, Terry meets Summer, who reveals she's uncovered dirt on the corrupt cops and the courthouse judge. She urges Terry to bring Mike's bail money to Elliot's desk ASAP. Terry returns to the police station and confronts Chief Sandy, threatening him to cooperate. Officer Steve steps in and a scuffle breaks out. Terry quickly disarms both officers and forces them inside. He cuffs them with Officer Sims's cuffs and drags her to the property room, where he finds stockpiles of weapons and cash. Terry takes back his money, plus the $10,000 he originally asked for, leaving the rest behind for the cops. Before leaving, he unloads Jessica's gun and instructs her to pretend she's arresting him and smoothly escort him out so the ranchers outside don't open fire. Summer takes Steve's car, drops him off safely, and puts out a police alert for Terry. Terry rushes to the courthouse, drops the money on Elliot's desk, and Summer heads to get the judge's signature. But before she can, the cops swarm the courthouse and arrest Terry. Terry is taken to the courthouse catacombs for a medical checkup, then Evan escorts him to meet Chief Sandy. They pick up Sandy, who lays everything out during the drive. Sandy admits he messed up by meddling with Terry after discovering his background. They stop at a hospital, where Sandy hands Terry his remaining cash, warning him to stay quiet and forget everything, or face 30 years for attacking them. Sandy reveals Mike was attacked in prison and is being flown to the hospital. Angry and emotional, Terry takes the deal but is warned never to return to town, or he'll be eliminated. Terry enters Mike's hospital room, but Mike doesn't survive. Heartbroken, Terry asks Summer for a ride back to his town. As they drive, they're tailed by a cop, but Summer reveals it's her police contact, a friend who's watching out for her. Summer tries to explain that Mike's case is part of a bigger problem, and the police need to be exposed. Terry, frustrated, brushes it off, gives Summer his number for emergencies, and leaves. Later, Summer wakes up in the middle of the night, realizing someone has drugged her and broken into her house. She sees a police car magnet on her fridge and calls Terry. He rushes over, breaks in, and finds her in the shower, alive. Summer reveals the cops injected her with a drug she used to take. She lost custody of her daughter because of her history with drugs, and worries if she's tested tomorrow, she'll lose custody for good. Terry reassures Summer and sends her off to work. But soon, the judge requests a meeting with her and orders a drug test, suggesting he's working with the cops. Summer is terrified but has no choice but to comply. She gives her urine sample, fully aware of the doom she faces. Meanwhile, Terry crosses paths with Officer Steve, who brings in backup to block the roads. Although Terry cooperates, Steve unexpectedly shoots him for returning to town. Despite being injured, Terry fights back, tasing Steve before escaping through the fields. He abandons his truck and makes his way to a Chinese hotel, where he calls Summer, asking her to bring burner phones. Summer arrives at the restaurant with the phones and finds Terry injured, while Mr. Liu patches him up. Together, they plan to gather evidence on the corrupt cops. Going undercover, they break into the judge's house. There, they confront the judge, who admits he's been working with Officer Sandy. Due to a lack of funding, Sandy turned to illegal searches, pushing the cases through the court where defendants would always lose. The judge profited from this, with part of the money even going to the state. Terry and Summer learn that the cops' dash cams have been recording everything, including rough traffic stops like Terry's earlier. Knowing the footage is key evidence, they plan to steal it from the courthouse. They sneak into the courthouse, but find the cops already there, trying to destroy the evidence by setting fire to the room. Summer manages to stop the fire and they steal the memory cards before reigniting the blaze to cover their tracks. Outside, Terry waits for Summer while she tries to retrieve her urine sample, but she gets caught by the officers. Terry notices the cops kidnapping her and follows them to a remote location. When the officers split up, Terry crashes into one of their cars, overpowers the cop, and handcuffs him for questioning, determined to find out where they've taken Summer. Terry radios Sandy, discussing a trade, Summer for the memory cards. Terry agrees to the deal, and Sandy instructs him to meet at Rebel Ridge by dawn. At Rebel Ridge, Sandy's men wait, but Terry doesn't show. Meanwhile, Sandy gets a call from Terry, and Officer Evan believes he's located Terry's car. Terry warns Sandy there's no turning back now. Officer Evan discovers the car doesn't have Terry inside. It's Officer McGill taped to the vehicle by Terry. Meanwhile, Terry is inside the police department, breaking into Sandy's office from the back. Officer Jessica alerts the police to Terry's location. While they return, Sandy rushes for the money, but Terry is loading up weapons. Instead of bullets, Terry shoots Sandy with beanbag rounds. Jessica arrives and Terry surrenders. She's the friend Summer had mentioned. Terry trusts her with the memory cards, instructing her to release them. He takes Sandy's weapons, but Sandy's men arrive outside. Terry gives Jessica a gun to cover him while he douses Sandy's money with gasoline. Jessica turns on Terry, telling him she doesn't want a shootout, and leads him outside. Officer Steve confronts Terry, stomping the memory cards. Steve admits he knocked out Summer, thinking they could now kill Terry with no witnesses. Officer Evan, realizing the situation, steps up to protect Terry. A standoff ensues, but Sandy shoots Evan in the leg and takes his gun. Terry glances at Jessica, who lowers her weapon. He seizes the moment and runs with Evan. They hide behind a car and Terry throws smoke grenades at the cops. Evan instructs Terry to activate the dash cams. After 3 minutes, the recordings will go live. Terry incapacitates the cops one by one without killing them. He finds Steve and gets his revenge for the earlier attack. Inside Steve's car, he finds Summer and activates the dash cams. He drives toward Evan, rescuing him, but Steve clings to the car. As Steve tries to enter, Summer pushes him off. Sandy, his men, and Jessica give chase, but Jessica crashes into Sandy's car, allowing Terry to escape. He drives to the hospital, where Summer and Evan are admitted to the emergency ward. Terry removes the camera storage drive from the car, keeping it to expose Sandy. The end. Thanks for watching.